Good morning, book lovers of the internet. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because for every subscriber, I get a new subscriber and I read a page from a book of my choice. So I have exams in about 2 weeks, and in today's video, I am going to be reviewing this book called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This has about 300 pages, and I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might recall that I started reading this on my Kindle about a year and a half ago when it was first published. Then, just a couple of weeks ago, before Christmas of 2023, I managed to find the hardcover edition, and I, of course, couldn't stare idly at it without purchasing it because knowing that I wouldn't be able to focus as much on my Kindle as I do with a physical copy, I immediately bought the book and basically binge read it in a couple of weeks. It was actually quite hard to put down, and the short chapters made it even more engaging, in my opinion. And you might like to know that I've been a Nickelodeon fan for a long time now, ever since my childhood, so I'd say about 12 years, perhaps more. And apart from shows like Gravity Falls and Jessie on Disney, most of my childhood consisted of watching iCarly, Sam and Cat, and also Victorious, which are all Dan Schneider productions, and I really enjoyed them. They were very cool to watch. I have a lot of fond memories of watching them with my siblings and discussing them with my friends at school. And this book really changed my perspective on that, I suppose, because McCurdy only refers to Dan Schneider as the creator, never by his own name, even though she never accepted the hush money not to speak about her experience. She is still quite respectful, and I think that's very diplomatic of her to do, I guess. Um, this was a very harrowing autobiography, to say the least, and you might remember how I looked like or how I felt when I was reading it during my live stream a couple of days ago. And it's raw, emotional, powerful as well. And Jeanette doesn't only detail her negative experiences as a child actor, but also speaks very openly about how her mother forced her own dreams on her. And this is a huge part of the book. I suppose that is why it is, after all, titled I'm Glad My Mom Died. And she had a maternal figure with several issues of her own, both mental and physical, having to do with eating disorders and with bipolar disorder, I believe. And Jeanette just could never find it in her to make her upset or disappoint her mother in order to take care of her own physical and mental health. So in her mind, Jeanette's mother basically she gave her all the opportunities she could have ever wished for, but truthfully, Jeanette never really wished to do what her mother wanted, yet never found it in her to rebel against these decisions. And after reading this book, I am definitely relieved to see that with the help of therapy, Jeanette seems to be making a great recovery, and I also wish her a speedy recovery and all the best with her future, though I'm almost certain that she won't be watching my review. Um, this book is basically split into two parts: before Janet's mother's death and after, and we see how the relationship and the dynamic changes both before she is sick and when she is sick. And yeah, she suffers a lot from the consequences of her mother's words and actions, and she is, however, recovering anyway. I suppose that Jeanette never wanted to be an actress particularly, despite of course becoming a brilliant one because of all the work she put into it all the time. And as most children would want, I suppose she just wanted a normal childhood where her mother wouldn't have such high expectations of her and wouldn't just shove her own wishes down her daughter's throat. And I still think that Jeanette's mother had the best intentions for her daughter, but mental illness ultimately got in the way, and she treated her daughter like an adult despite not wanting her to grow up. And she also planted the thought of Janet not wanting to grow up either. And yeah, she was very self conscious and self aware because of this manipulation. And this resulted in even further suffering that I suppose shaped Janet into becoming the woman she is today. I suppose that one of the greatest lessons one can learn through reading this book is that it's often not just about how much you're getting paid, but more about how much of your soul you're selling, especially where Hollywood is concerned. Because it really can drain you, I suppose, doing certain things for people you don't particularly like working with, yet you have to follow orders because of contracts. And it's not an easy life to lead. Of course, there were a lot of disappointments and lows in Jeanette's life, and I suppose she's getting over them at the moment. At some points in this book, this read even felt so surreal that it hardly um, made me think of it as a biography, but more rather like fiction, like a very sad sort of story about a person who couldn't exist because it's so harrowing, and it's saddening to see that Janet went through so much at such a young age that she still carries the scars as an adult, and she often speaks about them during her podcasts as well. Now, I have to be honest, I don't really follow her around on social media, but I do generally like to listen to what she has to say and how she's matured and developed over the years. Um, she has a very particular sense of humor, which I suppose stems from her past as well. And to elaborate on this, rather than being in denial now that she's come to accept herself as an individual, she uses so called dark humor jokes to ease the pain of being robbed of both her childhood and her adolescence. And one more thing that I dislike about her mother, and she probably does as well, is how her mother, her own mother, refrained from telling her that her father, who she thought was her biological father, wasn't actually her biological father. She had an affair many years prior, and it's ironic and hypocritical to see this from a woman who was so focused on religion. I also coincidentally share a name with Janet's biological father's Janet's biological father. He's called Andrew as well. And I understand why she's glad her mom died. However, I don't think that means that she loathes her mother. I think that she thinks of her as a parental figure deserving of being left in the past. And ultimately, I just think that cancer is, of course, no joke, but mental health can often be worse than physical health behaviorally. And I rated this 4 stars, not five, because she just kept rambling on about her binging and purging and her bulimia and anorexia and other eating disorders. And I know how horrible that must have been, but 20 chapters or so on the matter, they certainly were not necessary. And I got the point, so she needn't have continued speaking about it so frequently. I also appreciate the relationship between Jeanette and Miranda Cosgrove. And I'm glad, although they are drifting apart apparently, I'm glad that they shared such lovely times together. And I think she made amends with Ariana Grande as well. So, yeah, some drama I really needed to read about, also eye opening, and ultimately, a book I would recommend for people going through certain difficult times. And yeah, that's all I had to say about this book called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. If you enjoyed this review, please consider leaving a like on this channel, maybe a comment, subscribe, and check out the rest of my content because it really helps. And I really enjoy reminding you to do those things because they do help as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.